You and everyone else on the planet is basically the same. We're all the same. We all have the same needs, the same wants, the same desires. And those needs, those desires that we share are very, very simple. You and I really only want, deep down, peacefulness, simplicity, freedom, and connectedness. Deep down, everything that we do is born out of this urge, this innermost urge that we have for those things. And those things you can sum up in one word: love. Really, we are here in this body, uh, on this planet, to experience, to taste, to feel, to know what we are. Because what we are is love. And it's not that we are somehow special. We're not. It's that everything is love. Another word for this is consciousness. Everything that exists in the universe is, or another word is energy. And if you think about it, what is energy? Everybody knows that energy is really all that exists. But what is it? What are the qualities of energy? Let's call it love. And that is what we are. And we are here right now to experience that, to know that, to taste that, to feel that, to touch that, to be love. And I'm not going to sit here and only tell you that. I'm going to tell you how, and this is the key, this is what's important, how to directly and deeply experience your own profound being. Because let's face it, for most of us, most of the time, we don't experience ourselves as love. And we look and we spend an awful lot of time looking for love outside of ourselves, or that's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that we're running away from pain, suffering, anticipating the worst, escaping. So why is it that we spend all of our time searching for something that all the time is right within us? Why is it so difficult to stop that and to just be with ourselves and to remember that that is what we are? And the answer to that is that we're complex. We're very complex. If you look at less sophisticated and complex beings, animals, they don't have the angst and the neuroses that we have. And I'm thinking of my dog right now. He's such a beautiful, beautiful being. He's so patient and loving and giving. It's extraordinary, really. I see him time and again. We have two cats who came. They're kind of like squatters here. They crashed the party. We didn't choose them. They chose us somehow. Anyway, they get in everybody's way. They're those kind of cats that like to go under your feet, you know. and we have quite a small hallway into the house, and to get in or out of the house through this hallway, it's fine as long as nobody else is trying to do it. But if there's a cat in the way or a dog in the way or another person, then it's kind of they can become a traffic jam. And quite often I'm going in or coming out, and with my dog. My dog's also there, and he's also quite good at getting in the way. Uh, and the cat somehow always manages to get in his way, in the dog's way. Well, they're friends. They don't. Friends is not quite the right word. They don't hate each other. They get on. But the cat always gets in Jai's, the dog's, way when he's going through the hall. He never once has gotten impatient with the cat. He'll walk and then stop. And he'll just stop and he'll wait for the cat to get out of the way. And if the cat doesn't get out of the way, Jai just stands there. I've never seen him get angry or frustrated or impatient. How beautiful is that? And we think of dogs, and we think of really all the animals as less intelligent than us. Well, in many ways they are, but they have a wisdom that we've lost. And that wisdom is about really not complicating things, just experiencing things as they are, accepting things as they are. So why have we lost that? And I'll tell you why, and then I'll tell you how to overcome it. I think we lost that because we became complex. We developed a capacity and an ability to think on a very high level, and we became self-aware, and we developed something that animals don't have, or at least they don't have it anywhere near as strong as we have it, an ego. Now, I'm not going to tell you that your ego is bad. It's not. It's a good thing. It's necessary to have an ego. But what the ego does is it analyzes everything constantly, and it learns from situations and experiences that you go through. And it does two things. One, it remembers what was safe and what was not safe. So first of all, you can burn your hand on the stove as a child, and your ego will tell you, stove is bad. And it'll keep you away from the stove. Great, that's a good thing. But it also builds up this picture which is who it thinks it is. In other words, self-identity. And the self-identity is made up of all of those experiences and all of those situations. All of which is fine. But we haven't evolved yet as a species to the point where we are able to experience burning our hand on the stove. Let's just call that trauma. We haven't got to the point where we're able to experience trauma and let it go. In other words, remember the stove is hot and let that go. Instead, we associate the trauma, I'm burned, with our identity. Animals don't do that. Animals experience trauma and they let it go. We lost that ability when our egos developed. That's the why. Now for the how. How to experience yourself as you are, pure love. And of course, this is the important part. You'll find a million different people who'll tell you, you are love. Spiritual teachers who sit smiling benignly and with this twinkle in their eye, you're love. And people lap it up, don't they? Because we like to hear that. But I'm sick of hearing that. I'm sick of seeing people tell that to other people. Because when somebody seems to experience themselves as love, we call that enlightened, and they tell other people, you're already enlightened, you already love, it doesn't help them. You have to tell people what they're doing wrong and how to fix it. So that's what I'm trying to do. How to experience love directly, how to find it within yourself and stay connected to it. There are two ways. There are two possibilities, and it's up to you which path you choose. One path, and I recommend you do both. It's not either or. One path is very long, very slow, very hard. And it's a path that I was on for a very long time. And perhaps without having been on that path, I wouldn't have got to the place that I'm at now. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I'm happier than I've ever been. And right now, that's good enough for me. Perhaps without having walked down that very long, arduous, treacherous path, I would not have come to the space that I'm in now. So I heartily advise you to do both of these, and I'm always advising people to do both of these. The first path, the one that's long and slow and difficult, is the path of, let's call it spiritual practice. And that's a large umbrella under which you can find yoga, tai chi, qigong, some martial arts, meditation, various different kinds of meditation, studying religious and spiritual texts and scriptures, prayer, worship, chanting, singing, dancing, and so on. And that's wonderful. All of those things are really very beneficial. And the second path, let's just call it healing your trauma. And I want you to think about this for a moment. If what I said before is right, if the why of us being disconnected from ourselves is trauma, then the simplest and fastest and most effective way to get back, to connect back to ourselves, and through ourselves to the world around us, which is what we all want. Fastest way is to heal the trauma. In other words, to fix what is the cause of the problem. Now, this video, I'm not going to tell you how to heal trauma. I've written a lot and I've made videos about that before. And none of them are satisfactory because I teach people how to heal trauma, and it's a 2-day course. So, you know, I'd have to write a book about that, and maybe one day I will, but I haven't yet. Certainly it's not enough for a 10 or 15 minute video, or it's too much for a 10 or 15 minute video. But please believe me, please believe me, this is how we can evolve as a species and as individuals. This is how we can remove ourselves from this mess that so many of us find ourselves in so often, of desperately feeling miserable and unhappy and unfulfilled and disconnected from ourselves and from others. Quickly and easily. I want to read to you an email that somebody sent to me yesterday. They came here to my office in the morning, and in the afternoon she sent me this email. And all I did with her was an exercise that is about healing ancestral trauma. Her own and her ancestral trauma. She was here for an hour and a half. And time will tell if this result is permanent, and of course she'll change, but I know from my experience that always, let's say 95% of the time, the results of this work are permanent. And when they're not, there's always an identifiable reason for that, which is very fixable very quickly. So this is the email. Dear Ben, I'm very grateful for today's session because it brought me to a state of being that I can only describe as healthy, peaceful, and deep. It's amazing to me how I've entered this state of mind and body today. It feels like a deep meditation, something that I've tasted before, but it has gone away every time. I would like to stay with it this time as long as I can. As Mario and I were traveling back to Zagreb and later, I didn't have any reason to speak, like there was nothing to add to the moment. Everything was and is perfect. I'm not sure what happened to me, but I'm really good. I didn't believe this was possible. And now I would really like to stay with it as long as I can. I would like to nurture this inner love and health. And that's the reason why I'm writing to you. How can I stay in this state of being and nurture it? Do you meditate every day? With love, Elma. So one of the reasons why I'm making this video is to answer Elma's questions. And what I would say, first of all, do you meditate every day? If I can, yes, but What is meditation really? Meditation is a state of being in which you are connected to yourself. It means being real. What does that mean? It means being yourself. When you are being yourself, you are real. So many of us spend so much of our time desperately trying not to be ourselves. Perhaps we have some anger, some sadness, some hurt, some pain, some old wound, resentment, insecurity, and so on, that is deep inside of us, and it's painful, so we want to avoid it. And so many of us spend so much of our time doing this, desperately trying not to connect to ourselves, because what's inside of us is painful. Why? Trauma. Trauma has caused the resentment. Trauma has caused the anger. Trauma has caused the hurt. Trauma has caused the insecurity. Were you born insecure? Very unlikely. Were you born with resentment? No, you weren't. It's possible that you did experience trauma before your birth, but that's another topic. So, yeah, I try to meditate every day, and I don't mean sitting on a cushion and dedicating 5 or 10 or 20 minutes or an hour of my time to repeating a mantra. I mean, I try to stay connected to myself all the time, not just every day. And stuff comes up. I don't care who you are, stuff comes up, especially if you're in a relationship, especially if you have kids. The more challenging your life is, the more stuff comes up. And that's the beauty of relationships. That's the beauty of having kids. That's the beauty of living outside of a comfort zone. Your stuff will come up, and if you pay attention, you'll see it coming up, and you'll have the opportunity, the choice to heal it. And the more stuff you heal, the less resistance you have inside of yourself towards yourself, the more real you become, the more connected you are to yourself. And the more connected you are to yourself, the more connected you are to the world around you, because really there isn't an awful lot of difference between you and the world around you. It's all energy, it's all consciousness, it's all love. And from that perspective, everything, as Elmer says in this email so beautifully, there was nothing to add to the moment. Everything was and is perfect. And that's the truth. And it's not a new age, well, it is a new age cliche, but I don't mean it in that way. Everything is perfect, and everything that is not perfect in this world, and there's a lot of that, is man-made. And it comes from losing sight of the fact that everything is perfect. When we forget that everything is perfect, we create all kinds of drama and violence and abuse and corruption. But it's caused by the fact that we lose sight of what is so beautiful and simple in the world. My dog doesn't lose sight of that, and he's a good teacher. I'd love to answer your questions, so any questions, leave me a comment underneath this video, or send me an email, or through Facebook. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I think that's probably good for me if you do that. And share this, and be good.